Greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show, coming from right here in our quaint little studio. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea. I'm joined in studio today by Jonathan Voico.
Hello.
By Robert Meyer-Burnett.
Well, hello there.
And most importantly, you guys are here. Thank you so much for being here, making our little show part of your day. And here's how today's show is going to go. We're going to start off by talking about a number of predetermined topics we got lined up for you guys. Then in the second part of the show is when we're going to take your comments and questions. Now, there are two different ways to send in a comment, topic, or question for us to address on the show. The first way is if you're not watching this show live, like if you're one of the many people who watch this show after we're done the live stream later on in the day, you can send in a topic or a question for our next show at www.streamelements.com/JohnCampea/tip. The other way you can send in a question is if you are one of the people watching live, you can use the super chat feature to send in a question. And as long as you send in a question that we deem appropriate to be addressed on the show, we do reserve the right to not address any topics that come in that we don't think are appropriate. Then you will hear them addressed in the second part of the show. All right, guys. By the way, just got to throw out a couple quick things here. Decide not to make it a topic. Number one. Monarch Legacy of Monsters has been great this year. If you haven't started, watch it. It's a great show, and this season has been really fantastic. I'm enjoying it a lot. Finally got up on Paradise, though.
Oh,
nice.
And?
I don't know how I feel.
Oh.
I've been loving the season. Loving the season. But for the most part, this has not been a sci-fi show. It's almost been a Walking Dead kind of show, right? It's built on, yes, a fantastical idea, but built on real principles of that they build this underground city and all this kind of stuff. And it has not been a sci-fi show. But the end of episode 7, season 2, episode 7, radically changes everything. Like it changes the show. And
Well, but they've been building up to it.
When I say I don't know, I'm not saying I hate it. No, I'm saying I don't know how I feel about it yet. I think I'm going to have to see the next episode and see how they play it out. Because it's been a terrific season so far.
Yep.
And there's no way Jane's dead.
Yeah, Rob, there's no way.
I just don't believe Jane's dead. Anyway, all that down, guys. Let's get things rolling here, shall we? And we're going to start off with this. Now, of course, the number one film in theaters right now is the utterly fantastic Project Hail Mary. Ann and I are probably going to go see it for our 4th screening tonight, I think.
I had my number 2 last night.
Man, Ann now has 3 shirts. She has a I Had Potential shirt. She has a Rocky Grace Saves Stars shirt. And she has an Amaze, Amaze, Amaze shirt. She is all about Rocky all the time right now. Anyway. But, of course, the star of the film, Ryan Gosling. And he's got not just Project Hail Mary out right now, but he's got next year, we've got the first Star Wars movie I've been really excited about in a while, which is Star Wars Starfighter. So I'm really stoked for that. But he's going to have another movie coming out next year. As it's being reported in Deadline that he has just joined the brand new movie by the Daniels, who did Everything Everywhere All at Once, to star in their secret film. Their first film since Everything Everywhere All at Once. These guys won Best Director. Actually, they won more than Best Director. At the Oscars a couple of years ago, I believe we're 4 years on now, they basically swept up. They won all the bigs. Best Picture, Best Director for the two of them, Best Actress for Michelle Yeoh, Best Supporting Actor for Ki-Yu Kwan, Best Supporting Actress for Jamie Lee Curtis. The only reason they didn't win Best Actress is they didn't have a lead actor in the movie, or else they would have won that too. They won Best Screenplay and Best Editing. The only thing they didn't win really out of any of the semi-majors was cinematography. And I thought they did, but I guess they didn't. I mean, they swept up, and these guys have not made a film since. And so here they are now, again, according to Deadline. This is what they wrote over at Deadline. As his sci-fi adventure Project Hail Mary continues to break box office records, Ryan Gosling looks to be orbiting his next big project. Sources tell Deadline that Gosling is set to star in Universal Pictures' untitled event film directed by the Daniels, Daniel Kwan, and I'm always going to mispronounce this last name, Daniel Scheinert. Hope I said that right. The Oscar-winning duo behind Everything Everywhere All at Once. And we know nothing about it. Nothing about it. But I don't care. You know, one of the things that these guys showed us in Everything Everywhere All at Once, I remember I saw the film because the Russo brothers passed on it. Now, you might say, wait a minute, I thought their names, yeah, their names are on the credits of Everything Ever All at Once, but it's 100% in name only. They kind of passed on it. And so because they had the rights to it and passed it off to somebody else, they got a producer credit, but whatever. So the Russo brothers passed on it, and somebody at the studio passed me a copy. They said, John, you got to see this film. You got to see this movie. And that's how I watched Everything Everywhere All at Once. And I was like floored because the movie is deep and delightfully hilarious and has beautiful characters, and the dynamics between the characters are stellar. Listen, I always say that the number one job of the directors have many big responsibilities, but to me, the top one is to get the best performance out of your actors as possible. They won Ke Huy Quan an Academy Award.
Who hadn't acted in how long?
Yeah, who hadn't acted since, you call him Dr. Jones, lady. Like I don't, or did that come before or after?
No, that was
the Goonies?
Goonies
That
was
was-
after.
Yeah,
Goonies was
Goonies
after.
was
Okay, there
after.
you go then.
Goonies is 85.
And I love Ke Huy Quan, by the way. But like him, Michelle Yeoh got hers, Jamie Lee Curtis finally got hers. But they just able to do a way to navigate this story and make it gripping and fun and deep and emotional, like everything. It's so deserved Best Picture. It's so deserved it. Now to see them do something with Ryan Gosling is great. I wish we knew more about the project right now. Apparently they're going to start shooting like within the next 8 to 10 weeks. So hopefully we're going to start finding out some more things about this. Anyway, Rob, you know how much I love Ryan Gosling. Good Canadian kid, by the way. Toronto Maple Leafs fan too, by the way. So anyway, what do you think about this news and what's standing out to you?
Well, I'm a huge Ryan Gosling fan. He can do no wrong as far as I'm concerned. And I think he's making incredible, even though he might be in things like Blade Runner 2049 that didn't exactly set the box office on fire.
It was
that
so
movie's
good.
incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible. And he just classes up every joint he walks into. And, I love the fact that he loves his wife and he loves his daughters and he seems fairly grounded. He's got an incredible sense of humor about things, about himself and about the world. And he delivers, he can be in a movie like Drive and a movie like Project Hail Mary. And he kicks ass in both, even though he's playing very different characters. And clearly, I love La La Land. Maybe not as much as Scott Mance loves La La Land, but I love La La Land. And I think he delivered an incredible performance in that. I think him and Emma Stone should just make movies every other year together. I'd watch them. But I think this is a
Crazy
great move.
Stupid Love is one of my favorite rom-coms of all time.
It's so good. There's clips of that are coming up on social media all the time now. I love when he takes his shirt off and Emma Stone's like, "What is this?
You photoshopped?"
You airbrushed." It's so good. I gotta get that. I don't own that on physical media. But yeah, he's great, and I think this is a great move. And you know what? What an interesting project. He's got the #1 movie at the box office worldwide right now. He's got a Star Wars movie coming out. Now he's going to work with the Daniels.
And he's going to get some Oscar attention come next year.
Yeah.
And what was...
And his stylist, Mark Avery's a great guy too.
He does this movie and this movie. Like a good contrast to that, he was in Place Beyond the Pines, which he's incredible in. And he was Ken in Barbie.
And Half Nelson.
And Half Nelson and Lars and the Real Girl. And he's so diverse. And to put him now with the guys who the last film they directed, they won Best Director and their movie won Best Picture at the Academy Awards. I think this is pretty fun.
He was also in a movie, I want to say it's called The Believer, where he plays a Jew who's actually a neo-Nazi. Have you
I've
seen this?
that.
I don't think I've seen that one.
His performance in that movie is incredible. It's incredible. It's an early performance of his, and he's amazing in it. Amazing.
All right, guys. Question is for you. What do you think about this? Ryan Gosling has reportedly signed up for his next film, and it's with the Daniels. Last time they directed a film, 3 of their actors won Oscars. I think that's probably in the back of Ryan Gosling's head a little bit too. Cannot wait for this. Whatever you guys think about it, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? You know, Project Hail Mary is a movie we've been talking a lot about. We'll probably talk about it more over the coming weeks. It's just such an amazing film. Can't wait to go back and watch it again tonight. But, you know, the movie is long. At, I believe, 2 hours and 36 minutes. Yeah. I could give or take a couple of minutes. 2 hours and 36. It's a long film, but it flies by. I mean, it really does fly by. Now, there was a lot of talk about, like, one of the first assembly cuts of the film was like near 5 hours long. And that's not terribly unusual. No. I mean, the first assembly cuts are often quite longer than the film ends up being. But did you know, I didn't, that the first screening they did for Project Hail Mary was a version that was 3 hours and 45 minutes long. This comes to us from the folks over at Screen Rant, writing, while appearing on the Happy, Sad, Confused podcast, directors Lord and Miller spoke about early cuts of Project Hail Mary. Miller mentions assembly cuts that were over 4 hours long before settling in on the first screened cut, which topped out at 3 hours and 45 minutes in length. That is more than an hour longer than the final cut that hit theaters. Now, there is a difference between the assembly cut and the first screened cut. Like, the first screen cut is like, we are actually going to put people in front of this to see this. And, you know, one of the big questions I had going into Project Hail Mary, having gone through the book 3 times, was how on earth? Like, how are you going to do this book in 2.5 hours? Not really sure. And they found a great way to do it. The pacing was incredible and fantastic. That being said, even I, with all of my glowing reviews of Project Hail Mary, said, man, I kind of wish they left this scene in, and I kind of wish they left this scene in. And, you know, a lot of people, where I think there was enough science, I heard Lord and Miller talking about this, they wanted to have enough science in it to clearly reflect science was saving the day, and Grace is a really smart guy, but they didn't want to over-inundate a movie audience with science at the fear of losing them a little bit. So I thought they found a good balance there, but I could have used a little bit more watching Grace work out all the science with him and Rocky and everything like that too. Could have used a little bit more of that. Rob, I'm a guy who I almost every time prefer the theatrical version over extended cuts. Almost every time. Even the Lord of the Rings films, I'm a theatrical guy. I like the extended cuts. Don't get me wrong. I think they're really fun. I think they add in some new stuff, and I enjoy watching them once in a while. But if you were to ask me what is my sit-down go-to, it's the theatrical cut. What I wouldn't give to watch this 3 hour and 45-minute version of this movie, man. I would instantly sit down to watch this 3 hour and 45-minute version of it. I hope that whenever it comes to home video via streaming or Blu-ray or whatever they do, I really, if not an extended cut, I would love a thorough collection of deleted scenes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I would even settle for that. I would totally settle for that. Anyway, Rob, you hear about this. The first audience that kind of sat down to watch it was 3 hours and 45 minutes. Does that surprise you? Not surprise you? Do you think we'll ever actually see that extra?
You know, it doesn't surprise me at all. And you know, I had heard there was that World of Real article. That was the first time I ever read about this, but they said it was a 3 hour cut that they screened and people were saying it was near perfect. I would imagine that for me personally, like, I really love the extended version of Ridley Scott's The Martian. I think it's a little over 10 minutes longer. I think it's a superior film. To be honest, I love Project Hail Mary, but I wanted to love it more. And what was missing for me is I think it's slightly unbalanced more into the humorous aspects of it. I think it is missing peril, the dramatic stakes. And I'll tell you, like that scene. Now, I had read about this. I don't know if Drew Goddard talked about getting rid of this at the script phase. He was talking about the scene when they nuked the Arctic, you know, from the book. Yeah. Because they had to create a global warming event to warm the planet.
To buy themselves more time.
Buy more time. Yeah. I think that that would have gone a long way, because I feel that the latter half of the film, you kind of lose the story of Earth. And when you get back and you meet Strat at the end, she's smiling and she's older. But I really do think that they needed, for me, a few more minutes of science, another scene of Earth peril. Like, they didn't need the courtroom scene where Strat's motivations or her methods are brought under scrutiny. But that scene when they have to, you realize how dire the threat to Earth is. So I could, if they made a director's cut that was 250, or even 3 hours.
Where they put like maybe 30, 40 minutes of that in there.
I mean, but yeah, because they've got, if it's the movie's 2 hours and 36 minutes, if they added 15 minutes.
Oh, I see, 15, yeah.
And added a little bit more and shown, I would have liked to have seen Rocky and Ryland Grace working together, like problem solving, just and show them as equals. Show them.
See, I've seen the movie 3 times now. I radically disagree with you because as I've repeatedly watched the film, every major obstacle that Grace and Rocky come into, Rocky's the one who comes up with the solution. Like every single time. So I disagree with you on that point.
But I would just like to see more of it. That's
listen, I could have had another 30 minutes of just Rocky and Grace wandering through the ship chatting.
Yeah,
I mean, I really could have.
I really think that they have a great opportunity. It would not surprise me at all with Drew Goddard having written both, saying, like, why don't we release a extended version where they can put the theatrical cut on and then have it branching in physical media. But the thing is, it is in fact, it's MGM. I don't know what Amazon's going to do with their physical media on this new slate that they're producing.
It doesn't just have to be physical, though, because streamers will oftentimes, like, even with Fall Guy, I don't know if you guys noticed, I forget where it streams Fall Guy, I think Peacock or somewhere. It's like Fall Guy, the extended cut. So streamers will have extended cuts, too.
And this movie would support it. I think people would love to see an extended version.
Yeah, I agree. Anyway, guys, question is for you. Apparently, like, the first screen cut of Project Hail Mary was 3 hours and 45 minutes. Now, granted, there's no movie theater in the world that was going to let that play on their screens, but I'd be really kind of dying to see it. It's still quite a long movie at 2.5 hours, but whatever you guys think about all that, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this. Well, Alan Ritchson's in the news again, but this time for the right reasons. As Alan Ritchson has put out social media posts from the sound booth announcing to the world that they have completely wrapped production on Reacher Season 4. Deadline writes this: Alan Ritchson is giving his fists, and vocal cords a rest after wrapping production on Season 4 of Reacher. The actor, who recently got into an off-screen scuffle with a neighbor, shared an update on Wednesday, recording booth from the upcoming season of the Prime Video action series. Happy to be back in the booth after such a crazy week. Crazy week is an understatement. That's a wrap for me on post-production. Reacher Season 4, he captioned the clip. This is, without a doubt, the most gripping season yet. I think we'll hit our stride, firing on all cylinders, as it were. He goes on to say he thinks this is the best season yet. That Reacher Season 4 is the best season yet. And I read that, and I got just the glees, like really happy about it. And it made me start thinking about, Reacher's not going to win any Emmys. It's not the most thought-provoking piece of art. And it got me wondering, I thought to myself, why do I love this show so much?
It's pure.
Well, you know what it is? It's, to use a different word, but liken unto, is simple.
Yeah.
It's a simple show. There is a very desperately needed place for deep, intricate characters and storytelling with interweaving narratives. And there is an absolute need for that high quality. But it's not an either or. There's also a need we have as people who enjoy visual entertainment for a big good guy just kicking the living crap out of the bad guy because he's the bad guy.
Yeah.
And there's the guy who could just do it. Because times we know who the bad guys are, but there's nothing anybody can do. Reacher's a guy who can do something about it. And there's something just viscerally satisfying it feels like I'm sure this isn't correct, but it feels like they just start every season with a random throwaway scene. Like I think the last season was just Reacher's just hanging out, and he realizes this woman's taking money out of a bank because someone's trying to carjacking her.
I love that scene.
And like it has nothing to do with the rest of the series. It's just, we know what you want. You want to see Reacher kicking the living crap out of somebody. And somebody who deserves it. Here you go. And it just starts off with him going over there and beating the living crap out of him. Now, I hesitate to touch on this, but it is directly connected to the new season of Reacher. There was some question going around about, there's a little bit of TMZ stuff that happened with Alan Ritchson. A video came out of him beating the living crap out of somebody.
But he was exonerated.
Well, I'll get to that in a second. And it raised some questions with, man, they're wrapping up production on season 4. Are they going to have to pull these were understandable questions that people were asking. It's like, you got literally a video going around online of a big TV star beating the crap out of somebody, and he's wrapping production. Is this going to affect the launch of that season? Are they going to have to delay the launch of the season? I'm sure they wouldn't pull the plug on the season, but would they delay it an extra year to let it blow over? Now, of course, police determined it was completely self-defense, and they completely exonerated him. Video showed that this asshole, this absolute Karen, decided to run into the middle of the street, which caused Ritchson to fall off his bike.
And he was riding with his kids.
He endangered Alan. He endangered his kids. And the cam footage showed he was going 21 miles an hour, which is lower than the speed limit in my neighborhood.
Yeah.
So he got complete. And you know what? I remember even just watching the video before it came out that he got exonerated. I watched the video and I'm like, okay, we clearly see him pounding the snot out of the guy. But then he stops. He allows them to get up. The two of them cross each other a couple of times as they're gathering things, and he let the guy go on his way. And I remember saying to my wife, I said, this looks like a situation that it was self-defense, because once he completely nerfed the guy, he allowed the guy to get up and just carry on and go. Once the guy was no longer a threat, got taught a lesson, he completely let him go. But I said, I don't know. I mean, maybe Alan Ritchson was drunk. Maybe he was roid rage. I mean, I don't know, all these things. But it was good to see that he was completely exonerated, and, the dude got what he had coming to him.
Well, for me, it's like, okay, I understand they were riding loud motorcycles, like dirt bikes that are loud. But
these are legal.
They're legal. And to me, it seemed like, when you watch one of those HOA things, when some homeowners association leader comes to someone's house and goes, you can't have 2 cars in your driveway because the HOA said, and the guy was probably pissed off that those motorcycles were loud, going through the neighborhood a couple times. I mean, but it's like a dad riding with his kids.
Right. And I'm sorry, but you're like, I'm not saying because he's a little wench that justifies Alan Ritchson, who's clearly much physically bigger.
Right.
But the guy literally, like, potentially
he caused him to fall over on his bike.
He could have really injured him.
Yeah.
And he could have harmed his kids. And it's like, if a dude does that to me, yeah. I mean, so anyway, so that got all cleared up. But the story here, though, is thankfully none of this is going to cause a hiccup to the release of Reacher season 4. Having Alan coming out, by the way, he's riding high right now because he's got that War Machine on. By the way, very stupid movie, but I loved every minute of watching it. It was totally fun. It's like, really, alien technology, and they can't figure out an exhaust pipe. But other than that, it was really dumb, but I enjoyed every second that I watched it. And now he's got Reacher season 4 coming out, and pretty soon he'll be announced as our new Batman. By the way, I'm making that up. But yeah, it's good to see. Anyway, Rob, like, have you been following Reacher and all?
Dude, first of all, I love the books.
Yeah,
Lee Child's books, and I liked the first Tom Cruise movie that McQuarrie directed. But if you read, the thing about Reacher is, in the books, he's this huge, hulking, imposing figure.
Which is why a lot of people kind of looked a little funny when Tom Cruise was cast.
And
although he was great in that first one.
Yeah, he was great. I even liked the second one, but he was really good in it. But, you can't. I thought he played the part really well, and I thought McQuarrie did a great job writing and directing, but it's like you look at that, and if you'd read the books, it was a really difficult. You had to grapple with it. But Alan Ritchson is the embodiment of that character from those novels.
Yeah.
And I have to say, just like you, I love the simplicity of it, but it doesn't shy away from the violence. I like Neely. They were going to do a Neely spinoff show.
Oh, they finished production. Yeah, we're getting a Neely spinoff.
I can't wait. I love her.
After season 4.
You know, and I love his team. I like the second season, the team, you know, the whole. I love that show. And like you said, you know, it's better, but it's kind of like we lost Chuck Norris. And you'd watch Delta Force or Missing in Action or Invasion USA. And look, those movies were not great. But you know what? I liked them. And I think that Reacher is a little bit better than some of those Chuck Norris canon films. But the character, he's so endearing. And he's almost like an angel. He represents good. He represents America. He represents everything that, you know, Americans could still walk softly and carry a big stick and make everything better.
So this is basically Highway to Heaven with fists.
Yes.
By the way, Jonathan,
that's exactly what it is.
Jonathan, see if you can bring up this user comment. Johnny B7. It's about 5 or 6 up. It's John. If you see if you can find that one, Johnny B7, and see if you can bring it up there.
Oh yeah.
Do you got it? Okay, so like now, tell me if you know what I'm going to say, because Johnny B7 says, if Alan Ritchson was in The Princess Bride, he would be on the Brute Squad. What am I about to say?
You are the Brute Squad.
He would be the Brute Squad. Exactly. Well done, Jonathan. Anyway, all right, guys. Question is for you. What do you think about this? Alan Ritchson says he is now wrapped on Reacher season 4, and thankfully that little kerfuffle he got into is not going to impede or interfere with the launch of Reacher season 4 whatsoever, because he was exonerated. Anyway, guys, whatever you guys think about it, jump down to the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this. Now, guys, this is normally not the kind of story that we would talk about, because it kind of falls outside of the purview. But while we definitely have a presence as the John Campea Show on audio podcast feeds, and by the way, guys, if you're not subscribed to our audio podcast feed, you really should go and subscribe to it. Go and subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. So that way, if you're driving or commuting or in the gym and you want your John Campea Show hit and you can't have a YouTube video on in front of you, you'll have that ready to go. So make sure you go and subscribe to it. But also, where you can find our video show on Spotify. Do you know, Rob, that for 2 years in a row, we have been in the top 1% of all Spotify video podcasts?
I did not know that.
Top 1%. Last 2 years in a row, Spotify has sent us this badge and all that kind of stuff. But all that being as it may, our main home is here on YouTube. And every once in a while, you know, a big something with YouTube comes up, and this is where our show is. So I thought it'd be interesting to kind of talk about this a little bit. You might have heard in the news, and you can bring this up here, Jonathan. Campaigners welcome Meta and YouTube's defeat in landmark social media addiction trial. For those of you who did not catch this, Meta, aka Facebook, and YouTube were being sued for causing social media addiction. Now, I'm oversimplifying a bit, but that's the basic gist. And in a stunning result, the jury came back and they found Meta and YouTube liable for it. And I think the tune was to about, it was about $6 million.
Google and Meta.
Google. No, I think they specifically say YouTube, but at any rate, they're getting, well, at least here in the headline says, welcome Meta and YouTube's defeat in landmark social media. But of course they are owned by Google.
Yeah.
Anyway, the article goes on to write about this. Parents and campaign groups seeking tighter restrictions on social media have welcomed a Los Angeles jury handing down an unprecedented win for a young woman who sued Meta and YouTube over her childhood addiction to social media. Jurors found that Meta, which owns Instagram, Facebook, and WhatsApp, and Google, owner of YouTube, intentionally built addictive social media platforms that harmed the 20-year-old's mental health. The woman, known as Kaylee, was awarded $6 million in damages, a result likely to have implications for hundreds of similar cases now winding their way through U.S. courts. Meta and Google have said they disagreed with it. Of course they do.
Hey.
A spokesperson for Google said this case misunderstands YouTube, which is a responsibly built streaming platform, not a social media site. But speaking to BBC Breakfast, Ellen Rome, who is herself suing TikTok after the death of her son, said the case was an enough is enough moment. It's been proved not safe and social media companies need to fix it. Okay. By the way, saw an update to this. There are over 2,000 other cases now coming.
Yeah.
Not to mention I believe the number was 237 school districts might be planning on suing them now as well. This isn't hyperbole. This could change social media as we know it. I'm not saying it's going to eliminate social media, but this could change social media as we know it. Now, look, on the one hand, I have kind of two different sides of my brain on this. On the one hand, there has to be individual responsibility, right? Like, we provide you a product. How you use the product is on you. And if you're a minor, that's on your parents. As long as we put in the appropriate safeguards. And I completely believe in that, right? Like, for instance, there is a law that talks about in the earlier days of social media, like, let's say I wrote something liable about Rob, and let's say I say on social media, Rob ate his neighbor's cat.
It's rude.
Very rude. Maybe I did. Maybe that's where Donald Trump
See,
got it
I would
from.
say if that was a euphemism, that wouldn't be a bad thing.
Okay.
You really got to reel that. Anyway, so if I did that in the early days of social media, there was a thought that if I put that up on Facebook, that you could sue Facebook for me writing that on the platform. Now, that went through the courts and got adjudicated a bunch of stuff. And they basically came up with a law that basically says social media outlets cannot be held responsible for what somebody comes on and posts. And I think that's a good law. I think that the social media sites should have safeguards in place and try to monitor that as much as they can. That's reasonable, but you can't hold them responsible for that. That's one thing. But Rob, about a year or two ago, a couple of documentaries came out from insiders, whistleblowers who worked in Facebook, who worked in social media, and basically talked about, oh yeah, we know exactly what we're doing, and we studied how dopamine works in the brain, and we do all this, and we purposefully, intentionally try to get you addicted to the site. We set up our algorithms. Hell, even YouTube. You would think that in trying to determine what YouTube is going to push and recommend would come down to content, topics, interests, stuff like that. But do you know what's kind of become, to the best of my understanding at any rate, like the most important thing that YouTube looks at in determining about whether or not they're going to promote your video to other people? View length. What's going to keep, like, it's great if 5 million people click on one video and watch it for 10 seconds. But if 5,000 people click on another video and watch it for 20 minutes, that's the one YouTube's going to favor. Because the whole thing for YouTube is they want people watching as much and as long as possible.
For advertising.
For advertising, to make money.
Yeah, to make money.
And that's what it all comes down with. Facebook, it was different things. And so it's like, that's not being responsible. As a matter of fact, I don't know that I can find it here, but like $4 million of the, or 70% of it was, of the $6 million fine went against Meta, 30% of it went against Google, but it was also split into a couple things. There was damages. So they gave her like money for damages. But part of this ruling was also the jury attributed punitive. Mm-hmm. Punitive basically means punishment.
Yeah.
The jury found that you guys did this and you are responsible, but you did it on purpose. You know that the certain things that you do are damaging, and you do it anyway. And so the jury not only awarded damages, they awarded more for punitive. And the reason this is a big deal is now that precedent has been set, and you literally have thousands of other, remember, this is just one person just won $6 million. We got 2,000 more coming, and maybe exponentially more than that after that. Now, of course, Meta and Facebook, or Meta and YouTube, are going to be appealing the decision. Of course they are. And maybe they'll have success. We don't know. But if they fail, I mean, this is going to have to make all social media platforms radically rethink, including our home platform of YouTube, about how they navigate this. This was a shocking result of this case. Anyway, Rob, you saw it. What out of all this stuff is really jumping out to you?
Well, I think that the fact is they have designed this to be addictive. They've admitted it, they've said it, and it truly is. Now, I love YouTube as a platform. I find that the YouTube algorithm knows me well enough that I either get entertainment news, but I look at a lot of science content, a lot of technology content. I look at a lot of political content as well. And my algorithm tends to feed me long form shows, and I find YouTube to be an invaluable resource. And then I'm always using it to help me with editorial software or looking at tutorials. I think YouTube is an incredible platform. I would never want to see it go away. On the other hand, I love Instagram. I like using it. But even when I start scrolling and I start looking at things, I blink and 10 minutes have gone by. And I've been fascinated by how that works. I've tested myself. And I'm always like, this is insidious. And if you're a kid not aware of what that's doing to you, or you're not really thinking about it because kids aren't, they're not paying that much attention, it is incredibly addictive. And it is and it's feeding you. It's every time you make a click, you're telling the system something, and it's using you to learn from, and it's using you to become better at selling advertising or making sure to force feed. I mean, we are the experiment. And I'm happy that somebody finally came out and said, no, you guys, you are doing this to people. This is really happening. We need this kind of reform. So I'm glad to see this result. I think it was something that was necessary. Social media is a great thing, but it's also a terrible thing. It's a continuum. The best thing in the world and the greatest thing in the world. The worst thing in the world and the best are happening. You've got to figure out. I mean, it's no wonder Australia is banning social media for people that are
teenagers.
Younger.
Yeah. To that point, I remember we were talking about the documentaries and all the whistleblowers. I remember the one guy who worked in the industry came out and said, basically, in a nutshell, he goes, we try to get them to stay on the platform as much as possible. And we find the things that grab them the most and the longest are things that make them feel good about themselves and things that make them feel bad about themselves. Those two things are what keep them on. And it's like, you're talking about now showing that to 14-year-old girls.
It's insidious.
16-year-old guys. I mean, it's that if you don't recognize that can be damaging, or if you don't care that that's damaging, damn right you should be held liable. So I don't know how this is going to change the platform.
No, I don't either.
I really don't know. I don't know what I mean, they're going to have to fundamentally change their business model.
But they've made, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, they've all adopted those reels, that format.
The endless reels.
Yeah. Yep. And that's something that I think that's where they get you.
By the way, also found liable was the TikTok thing, the mother who sued TikTok over the death of her son. And that's going to change things too. And we're more focused on what could happen with YouTube here. But anyway, guys, again, a discussion that's a little bit outside of the normal purview of what we discuss here, but it's about the platform we live on. So I thought we would touch on it. Whatever you guys think about it, jump down into the comment section below and watch the John Campea Show 24 hours a day. Anyway. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? A while ago, there was, I remember, I think we got our first kind of whispers of it and talk about it at CinemaCon last year. It wasn't called, I think it was called Flowervale Street. Anne Hathaway and Ewan McGregor were going to be doing a new movie being produced by J.J. Abrams called Flowervale Street. Kind of then left my mind. I heard recently that, it was going to be coming soon. I think it comes out in August. Not sure. Yeah, August 14th. Well, they've changed the name of the movie now to The End of Oak Street. And they just dropped the first trailer. I've known nothing about this movie other than it's Ewan McGregor and Anne Hathaway play a married couple with a couple of kids who live in a suburban neighborhood. And I thought marriage drama, midlife crisis drama, trying to live vicariously through your kids drama. I didn't know. I wasn't expecting dinosaurs. That wasn't on my bingo card. And so I watched this trailer today for The End of Oak Street. And it's by the director of It Follows.
Yeah.
Who hasn't directed a film in a couple of years.
And it also looks like it's set in the 70s. The clothing.
The clothing, the cars, stuff like that. I'm not really sure. I think some of the cars looked a little more modern. I'd have to go back and take a look. I really wasn't thinking about the era.
Look at that V-neck. That's a total like velour V-neck.
But I am obsessed with this trailer. I loved it. I really, really do. Mom, what's happening? I think our house and our neighborhood and our street has moved. She's like, what? And then they drive to the end and it just drops off a cliff.
There's like a wall, yeah.
You know what it feels like? It almost feels like a little bit like an 80s style Inner Space. A little bit like, but crossed with a Jurassic Park in sort of a way. And I'll tell you what, J.J. Abrams has his fans and J.J. Abrams has his detractors. But this has got the quintessential J.J. Abrams kind of feel to it. And because when he's on point, when he's on track, I think J.J. Abrams can be extremely good. When he's off his game, he can be very bad. But I mean, this looks fun. And I love Anne Hathaway. I love Ewan McGregor. I'm actually really excited about this. I thought this was a banger first trailer, Rob. I mean, really, I am now actually quite excited to see this movie. Anyway, you saw the trailer for The End of Oak Street. How did you feel about it?
Oh, I'm right there with you. I mean, you know, I've a love-hate relationship with J.J. Abrams, but this trailer, I loved, you know, It Follows. And I like It Follows. It's grown on me the more, especially after I got that second sight version of it. This reminded me, there's a Canadian science fiction writer, John, named Robert Charles Wilson. And he wrote a book called Mysterium, where a neighborhood, like a small town, is like moved. It shifts in time to a different universe. And the people of the town have to deal with that. And I thought that it was very Outer Limits from the 60s kind of an idea. I always loved that idea. No one's ever made a movie or a TV series of Mysterium, but they could. This reminded me of that. Like the town has been shifted dimensionally or through space-time or whatever. And I mean, look at this.
It's literally the end of Oak Street.
Yeah.
Literally the end of the street.
When I saw the shot, I'm like, oh, bring it on. And look at how it's literally been moved somewhere else because that tree is fine and the ground is higher. And I'm like,
and it looks like a clean cut circumference.
Yeah, because look at this, look at the cut in half is everything. I mean, to me, this is catnip. I watch this trailer and I'm like, oh, it's right in my wheelhouse. I'm so in.
You know, the delivery though, when John was talking about Anne Hathaway's, like, there's the pauses and they use that with editing, but they're all sitting around crouching on the floor, and I think that the delivery actually felt M. Night to me.
You know, I think you're absolutely right. Yeah. I didn't think about that at the time, but it really kind of did. Like in a good way.
A good way.
Not like the happening M. Night.
Right? No.
Like this, like Signs, Sixth Sense M. Night.
Sixth Sense M. Night. Yeah. Not the happening M. Night.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what. I'm watching the trailer, and I didn't read anything about it when it dropped, so I was just watching the trailer. And all of a sudden, the dinosaur shows up through the window. I'm like, okay, I officially don't know what's going on. This is great. This is really
I mean,
good.
I'm curious. Did it move to a prehistoric world, or is it shifting in space time, where you're going to see it? You're going to see all these different eras that this poor neighborhood is unstuck in time.
Yeah, because
I'm happy just with dinosaurs.
Because for a second, I got some Jumanji vibes there.
Yeah,
you know? But we'll see.
I'm looking, and it's coming out in August. We don't have to wait all that long for this movie.
I mean, this looks like a perfect summer movie. I can't wait.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What did you think about this? The End of Oak Street has just come out. Totally caught me by surprise. I think this looks great. I'm very excited to see it. It might be an utter disaster. Who knows? But I think it looks pretty promising. Whatever you guys think, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts.
I'm gonna check it out.
Yeah, it's good.
All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? You know, just after we started yesterday's episode of the John Campea Show, they dropped the first trailer for the new HBO series of Harry Potter, which for some reason in the back of my head, I didn't think was coming out till like October of 2027, but it's coming out this year. It's coming out in December this year. By the way, Doomsday, Dune 3, Harry Potter series. What are you? My eyes are gonna be on a lot of screens.
How do you fit that into the title? Can we add Harry Potter to Doomsday?
My goodness.
Can we sue these like production companies for addiction?
You guys put out too much good stuff for us to watch. So we didn't have a chance to, a lot of people were writing into like, hey, John, do you know the trailer drops? Like, well, we've already started the show. We can't stop the show to watch the trailer, so we'll talk about it tomorrow. Well, as soon as the show ended yesterday, I'm like, well, better watch this Harry Potter thing. Now, before I give you my thoughts on the Harry Potter trailer, let me give you some context about how I was viewing it. I've always thought it's a good idea. The show itself, I think, is a good idea, right? The idea to explore Harry Potter, which, by the way, I think the book came out almost 30 years ago.
Started in the 90s, right?
Yeah, I think it was the mid 90s, a little bit the later in the 90s. Like the first book came out almost 30 years ago. But the idea of taking this beloved franchise, but doing each book as a full season of television as opposed to just a movie, I thought, okay, that is an idea that has merit. Because even some of the big Potterheads I know have oft complained about, as happens with every book to movie adaptation, the things that have to get left out, And so to be able to do a
97.
series, 97. So we're getting close to 30 years. Next year will be 30 years since that first book came out.
I was still rocking my N64.
So was I.
So I was like,
Empire.
this is a good idea. And then we started hearing like, I remember we did an episode and like the names came out of top television executive producers and showrunners, like top people were coming on board to executive produce and showrun the show. We're like, oh my God, they're taking this seriously. Then I liked all the casting stuff that came out. The photos looked good, but my general feeling was, this won't be as good as the movies per se, but it has a chance to be a nice addition to the overall Potter lore and be a part of it. It can be very good. I think it can be very good. Okay. I watched this trailer and I've changed my mind. I think this very well might end up being better than the movies. I'm not saying it will be. We obviously won't know, but I watched this trailer and I'm not a Potterhead. I was glued to it. I thought, first of all, this kid, the whole cast looks perfect.
Yep.
I love the tone of it. I love the way it felt. And I talked to a friend of mine last night who is like one of the world's foremost Potterheads. And just to get his kind of input on what he thought of the trailer. And what he said, and he's a massive fan of the movies. He says, look, I love the movies. And they were great. I'm trying to remember the word he used. It wasn't representation, but I'll just use the word representation. The movies were great representations of the books. He loves the books. He loves the movies. He said, but John, this was the first time I felt like the books were coming to life. I watched the trailer and it felt like it was just the books jumping onto the screen. And now I can't speak to that because I've never read the books. So I can't speak to that at all. But if this was not called Harry Potter and this trailer just dropped in a vacuum, I would tell you right now, this would be one of my most anticipated shows of the year. Even if there was no such thing as Harry Potter, the books and the previous movie franchise, I watched this trailer and I was instantly, ravenously engaged with it. And I'll tell you what, if you don't think there's even the chance after watching this trailer, this could end up even exceeding the movies. Because remember, they're going to be it's going to be different because this is going to be a full season of television versus just a 1-2 hour movie. But if you don't acknowledge that this thing has a chance to be better than the movies, which is not something I thought before, I do now. I really do. I think the chance exists. It could also completely go off the rails and be terrible for sure. But Rob, I was shocked how much I loved this trailer. I cannot wait for this show, and it truly felt like HBO.
Oh, I was gonna say it's like Harry Potter. It had that HBO patina on it.
Yeah, if Harry Potter becomes actual prestige level television, that's what this felt like to me. It is just a trailer. It's just a trailer, but the trailer was fucking awesome. Anyway, Rob, you had a chance to see it after you and I didn't see this trailer together. What did you think about the trailer?
I completely agree with you. I was really kind of gobsmacked by this trailer because obviously this is a prestige. The Harry Potter movies are good. I mean, I remember seeing the first one that Chris Columbus directed, the first two, but I only read the first book, and I read it when it was called The Philosopher's Stone.
Yeah,
Which
you know they're calling it The Philosopher's Stone.
I love. You know what?
Love that.
That tells you, I think, everything you need to know, because American audiences, what does that mean? A Philosopher's
Call it the Sorcerer's Stone. Yeah, I love that they did.
So I love that they kept that, but this looks like a truly literary, in-depth version of a novel, and it's the difference between it's kind of akin to the Ripley TV series that came out a couple years ago that was based on The Talented Mr. Ripley, kind of a retelling of the movie. So I love the movie, but the series was terrific. We're gonna go so much deeper into the Harry Potter mythos, the characters, the actors on this look incredible.
I couldn't believe that was John Lithgow.
Everybody looks so.
He's going to be so good in this.
So good.
He's always great. Yeah.
And there's been a little controversy over the recasting of Snape, but I'll tell you something. Here's the thing. It's kind of different in the UK. Like I remember seeing there's David Oyelowo, the actor David Oyelowo. I first saw David Oyelowo in the show. It was called MI5 here, but in the UK it was called Spooks.
He got nominated for an Oscar, I believe, for that Martin Luther King movie.
Yeah,
Selma.
He's great.
Selma,
And then also
that's
Chiwetel Ejiofor. Seeing like black actors that are also Shakespearean trained at the Royal Shakespeare Company. That's a different deal. So I don't care when I see British actors, just because the way they speak. Maybe this is just me. I've always thought that British actors, anybody from Britain, but especially British actors, they're just smarter and better than me. That's what I've thought. And I'm sure that the guy that they cast to play Snape, it's not whether the color of his skin, it's like, you gotta be either better or on par with Alan Rickman. So they probably found the actors, because the actors on this you didn't really hear much of Snape in the trailer, but I bet that guy's awesome.
I bet you
he's a Broadway and West End performer.
And that's
I can
what I
only
mean.
imagine
He's going to be, that guy's got to be.
We're going to get it. Listen, Alan Rickman is one of my all-time favorites. Alan Rickman is one of my absolute all-time favorites. Because a spoon hurts more. Yeah. He's one of my all-time favorites. But at last, we're going to get a Snape who's not more than 2 decades older than Snape is supposed to be in the books.
Right, exactly. And
that's what Alan Rickman was. He was more than 2 decades older than the character was supposed to.
Totally. And when I like David Oyelowo I just liked him because he was a great agent in the show. But I loved the way he spoke. And just his voice. Because British actors are better than the rest of us. And so I think the level of acting, and especially beginning with the kid they found to play Harry Potter, I mean, this is going to be next level. It's going to be prestige. The set design
is gorgeous.
Unbelievable. Even the train. I don't know if that's an effect shot, but the fact that it looks so real. I know the expansive, dude, everything about this, I'm like, I am so in, and I was thinking, why didn't the first season of Rings of Power look like this? I mean, it was just, yeah, man, I can't wait. I was surprised at how in I was after this trailer was over, because I liked the Harry Potter movies, but I was a little older,
Yeah, I like them too. I do. I quite liked a couple of them, but I'm by far not a Potterhead.
But this has a prestige patina to the whole thing.
It really does. I mean, this feels like it is going to be top tier television. Again, take away the Harry Potter thing of it, take away the previous movies. You just show me this trailer in a vacuum, and it's becoming one of my most anticipated.
And also, it looked like they're going to spend a lot more time dealing with Harry's family life a little bit, and we're going to really get into the whole idea of what that's like, the transition from going from being the kind of put upon kid and making his way to the wizarding world. I love that idea. I love being able to spend more time with that, because that transition is going to be really interesting.
Yeah, I can't. I just can't believe how good it looked. I mean, again, it's completely changed my mind. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What did you think about this trailer for the new HBO series of Harry Potter, the Philosopher's Stone? I wonder if every season is going to be different name, not season 1, season 2, but like season 1 is going to be called Harry Potter, the Philosopher's Stone.
I think they're absolutely going to do that.
I think they're going to do it too. Whatever you guys think about it, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, it's time for us to move on to the most important part of our show, which is, of course, taking your comments and questions. But before we do, we have to do two things. First, bid good afternoon to writer, director, producer Robert Meyer Burnett. Great job as always, my friend. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
Yes, you will.
And, of course, we're going to take a second and hear from the sponsor of today's episode, our friends at Pocket Hose. This episode is brought to you by Pocket Hose, the world's #1 expandable hose. Guys, I got to tell you, the brand new Pocket Hose Copperhead with Pocket Pivot is absolutely fantastic. First of all, if you've ever dealt with one of those old school hoses, you know exactly how annoying they are. They kink, they crease up at the spigot, and half the times it feels like you're fighting the hose more than actually watering anything. But the Pocket Hose Copperhead has this pocket pivot that swivels 360 degrees so you get full water flow and way more freedom to move around your home and yard with ease. And here's the part I really love. When you're done, it shrinks right back down to pocket size, which makes it ridiculously easy to carry, handle, and store. And after trying the Pocket Hose, I am never going back. I even now pack it with me and bring it in my camper van. It's that versatile and that good. Plus, it's backed with a 10-year warranty, which is awesome. So for a limited time, my listeners and viewers get a free pocket pivot and their 10-pattern sprayer with the purchase of any size of Copperhead hose. Just text Campea to 64,000. That's Campea to 64,000 for your 2 free gifts with purchase. Campea to 64,000. Message and data rates may apply. See terms for details. And thank you to our friends at Pocket Hose for sponsoring today's episode of the John Campea Show. All right, guys, with that down, let's move on to your topics and questions, shall we? Jonathan, what we got up first?
First up, we got Raymond, who says, saw DreamWorks' Forgotten Island trailer. So happy that a Hollywood animation studio is doing a film based on Filipino characters, themes, and folklore. It also tells of an immigrant story which Filipinos can identify with. Just hope it's not Easter Sunday.
Oh my God. For those of you who don't know what he's talking about when he says Easter Sunday, that probably my favorite stand-up comedian in the world, Joe Coy. He did a movie about, his Filipino family called Easter Sunday, and I was really excited about it, and it was absolute gutter trash. Like, Coy's still one of my favorite comedians, but that movie was gutter trash. Anyway, yeah, I saw the trailer for, what's it called again? Hidden Island or something like that? Secret Island? Gilligan's Island?
Yeah, that's it. Forgotten Island.
Forgotten Island. I saw the trailer for it. Didn't love it. Not going to lie. Didn't love it. I hope, but now that doesn't mean the movie won't be great. And you know what? I've heard little birdies say that this is going to be one of the full screenings at CinemaCon in a couple of weeks. So I'm going to have a chance to watch it. I know Anne's excited about it because it's about Filipino culture and stuff like that. So I'm looking forward to trying it, but I'm not going to lie. I saw the trailer and I didn't think it was great, but hopefully the movie will impress us. All right, what's next?
Johan says, just wanted to give a shout out to Jonathan's soundboard and his excellent comic timing. Also, the only thing that could have, I promise I didn't write this. Also, the only thing that could have made story time better is narration by Matt Berry, because he
Jackie Daytona. Oh man,
I loved him on that.
If I could have a voice emulator and just turn it on and do Matt Berry, it would be awesome. Of course, he just narrated the Oscars. Yeah. He was the MC for the Oscars, and of course, he's from What We Do in the Shadows. He's awesome. I love Matt Berry, and you're right. He would be much better at story time than me. All right, what's next?
We got Dan the Fan. Harry Potter comes out this year. Can't wait. I'm coining it now. Doomsday and the Philosopher's Stone. I know it's a series, not a movie.
Tell you what, man. I mean, listen, again, Avengers Doomsday could be crap. I don't think it's going to be, but it could be. Dune 3 could be crap. This Harry Potter show could be crap. I mean, whatever, but man, it looks like I've got a lot of hours are going to be eaten up in the month of December just sitting on my ass watching a couple of things, because this is looking like a great December, man. All right, what's next?
Tom says, "Hey John, I've seen lots of online debate recently about whether or not the Dune trilogy can surpass Lord of the Rings. Personally, I think if it's on the level of Dune Part 2, it can, but what are your thoughts?"
It's a tall order. I'll say this. I think Dune 2 is the best movie we've had in Hollywood in the last 10 years. I think it's better than any other film that's come out in the last 10 years. I think Dune 1 is great. Not in the same stratosphere as Dune 2, but I think Dune 1 is great. The thing is, the Lord of the Rings films, all three, are like all-time classics. And The Return of the King is one of the greatest accomplishments ever in the history of Hollywood. It really is. If Dune 3 can exceed Dune 2, which I think is nearly impossible, but if let's say Dune 3 is even better than Dune 2, which is going to be really hard because its source material I don't think is very good. But if it does, we might have to have a conversation. But until I see a Dune 3 that is even better than Dune 2, I'm going to say it's a tall order to surpass Lord of the Rings on the greatest trilogies of all time. I mean, obviously at the top is the original Star Wars trilogy, forever and ever, hallelujah, amen. But then right after that is probably Lord of the Rings. And yeah, let's just say this. Isn't it a nice problem to have that we could even have, that these Dune movies are so good that we even talk about having a debate about it? Like, whatever way you cut it, it's great news. It's a great problem to have. But again, I have to see a Dune 3 that's even better than Dune 2 before we have that conversation. All right, what's next?
We got Sean who says, "Hey John and crew, with the Super Mario Galaxy cut just around the corner, what are the chances Nintendo releases a Zelda trailer with it? It is Zelda's 40th anniversary after all." Oh, I know it's a year out, but Nintendo always seems to do their own thing.
Way too early.
Yeah.
Way too early. It's not an event film like a Odyssey. It's not an event film like Avengers Doomsday. It's way too soon. So some kind of a tease announcement maybe, but like legitimately a trailer with it, I think it's too soon. I mean, I don't know that for a fact. You're just asking me my guess, and my guess is I think it's too soon. All right, what's next?
$20 tip from Joe Adonis.
Oh, thank you, Joe Adonis. Appreciate that, man.
There is a contract in Kalshi where it lists possible cast appearances in Doomsday. I know you don't advocate for gambling, but you could add some millions to your retirement fund.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I don't know where I come down on this. I'm still struggling because, like, I am perfectly good. You know, you've heard me say this before. I am perfectly fine that adults should be able to do adult things with adult responsibility. You know, I enjoy using, one of our sponsors on our channel has been like Prize Picks. DraftKings has been a sponsor of our show. I really enjoy using that because I'm a big sports fan and I love dropping $5, $10 on something. And, you know, it just gets me a little bit more invested. I enjoy it. It's an adult thing that adults should be able to do and enjoy with adult responsibility. That being said, I am very cognizant of the fact that gambling can be a problem for some people, but so can food. Should people not advertise and talk about Pizza Hut? Should people not talk about Ben & Jerry's? Should people not talk about, you know, see if you know this reference, Choco covered sugar bombs? Or Choco frosted sugar bombs?
I do know the reference. I absolutely know it. It's in my head, but I cannot.
If you can think of it, throw it out. If you guys in the live chat know what I'm talking about, throw it out there. But you know, things like Kalshi or Polymarket, and I have been approached to be, and yes, somebody in the live chat got it. D Wolf, first one, Calvin and Hobbes.
Yeah, right when I saw it, I was like,
Calvin and Hobbes.
Yep.
Choco frosted sugar bombs. I've been approached by both of them. And what I told one of them was, listen, I need time to think about whether or not I want to do that, because it's one thing to do it on sports. That's a traditional thing, whatever. But I don't know if I want to promote literally gambling on everything. And I'm not saying one shouldn't. I'm just saying, I don't know. I haven't figured out how I feel about it yet. And so I'm not going to lie to you, man. I've left a lot of money on the table. I've left a lot of money on the table because I'm just not sure about it yet.
This goes back to our Oscars like voting thing. When you have people out there that already know the outcome, how do you get away with putting this as a gambling? You know what I mean? It's just like,
yeah. I think if somebody asked me,
how does this stop anyone in the industry that worked on the movie to just go go gamble on this now?
Yeah. Yeah. And then that throws everything off. And somebody asked me once, do you think it's okay to bet on like WWE events, even though the results are already scripted in advance? And like, these are questions I don't have answers to, which is why I've turned down some significant sponsorship money to do it. Again, listen, there may come a day that I will do it because I've had the time to think about it and process it and decide how I come out on it. But until I feel good about it, like that I've really given a lot of thought and really come to terms with how I feel about it, which I'm still not sure about, we probably won't be. Anyway. All right, what's next?
We got King Tane, who says, how would you rank the Lord of the Rings trilogy? I think he means like the individual movies.
Yeah, I mean, I've done this before, so the way I personally listen, it's literally 1A and 1B. I mean, they're all all-time classics, they're all great. I would say the order that they were released. I think Fellowship of the Ring, Two Towers, and at the very top is Return of the King. But I mean, they're really, really close. All three of them were nominated for Best Picture. Obviously, Return of the King holds the all-time Hollywood record tied for most Oscar wins ever with 11. So I would go Fellowship, Towers, Return of the King. All right, what's next?
Then we got Eduardo, who says, as someone who has not seen the anime, One Piece season 2 was so good. Episode 7, no joke, had me bawling my eyes out every 10 minutes, and I don't easily cry with shows. This is a must watch for you and Ann.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely going to be watching season 2. I've not started it yet, but I loved season 1. I am now caught up with Paradise, so nice. I'm there. That's one thing checked off, and I'm maybe I'll see before the movie tonight, or maybe even after the movie. I'll see if Ann. Because here's the problem. I can't start season 2 until Ann sees season 1. So I'm just trying to find time that I can get Ann started on season 1, because I really do want to watch season 2 with her, but I got to get her through season 1 first. So there you go. All right, what's next?
All right, we've got our super chatters now. X-Men Superfan says, what do you think is better for musicals, realism or stylization? Animated musicals like Aladdin notwithstanding. In my opinion, stylization tends to work better for them.
No, neither answer is correct. It depends on the movie. It really depends on the movie. I mean, look, by nature, if you're a musical, there's a stylized factor to it, right? Just by the nature of you being a musical. But should you be, what works better? Hyper stylized, like a Moulin Rouge.
Or American in Paris? I mean, that's fully stylized.
So, or others. It all depends on the movie. There's no one size fits all. Like some movie musicals work better, less fantastical. Some movies will work better, or some musicals will work better if they're more fantastical.
Yeah.
There's not a one answer fits all. It really depends on the film. All right, what's next?
We got Josh, who says, hey, John, we all know the demand on Doomsday weekend is going to be huge. Would it be a good idea to only show those 2 movies opening weekend, but have one screen set aside for movies still in release? I don't know about that.
Well, I mean, basically speaking, I don't know how this happened. You know, at the AMC Burbank 16, when Avengers opened, it was going to be on like 4 or 5 screens. Mm-hmm. By the end of the night, it was on every screen. Now, the thing is, though, they have some obligations to other movies to play on their screens at the time. But I mean, if no tickets are sold, whatever, they can change it. They do have that right to do it. Look, a movie theater's business is to get people into the theaters, to buy popcorn and soda, and so they can keep the lights on and pay their staff and all that kind of stuff. They're going to put on their screens whatever's going to bring in the most people.
Yeah.
Now, look, the reality is that there is going to be an audience for other films. It's just going to have to be on a small amount of screens. Like, so I'm willing to bet this Jonathan. I bet the AMC Burbank 16. I'm willing to bet at least on opening day, at least 10 of the 16 screens are going to be either Doomsday or Dune 3.
Well, because
at least 10 of them.
They have a bit of a, the 16 is not just the 16. If you count the entire complex there in that area of AMC, you got 30. So they can actually shuffle over those smaller films to the 6 and the 8 and then focus on Doomsday in the 16. So they have a bit of an advantage there in Burbank.
All right, what's next?
We've got Juan Diego who says, hi, John. I'm thinking of getting a new phone. I'm torn between the Sony Xperia, Mark 7, I'm guessing, and the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 7. Okay, I'm going to finish this, but I'd like to know how you found the internal screen and battery life. I mean, in my opinion, you just can't. It's hard to beat a Galaxy.
Yeah, well, listen, the Sony Xperias are great. Mm-hmm. I think guys... I could be wrong, but I think guys like Marquise and the mobile phone guy and stuff like that, I think they said like the Sony Xperias like probably have the best cameras.
But then you have to change over your whole system, ecosystem, right? Or is it Android?
No, it's all Android.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's Android and there's Apple. But I will tell you what, I recently, finally, glory, hallelujah, broken free of my useless piece of garbage Apple phone. I was using my Apple iPhone for at least 5 years. And now mostly because, I have Mac laptop, Mac desktop, I have my iPad. I'm an Apple guy, I really am, but I hate iPhone. Let me rephrase that. Beautiful screens, takes great video, all things, but their closed garden approach is really frustrating to a guy like me. And here's the worst part. Siri absolutely sucks. Oh my God, it sucks so much. So I've been waiting for a time, years past, waiting for a time. Then came along this Fold 7. And I got to tell you guys, this thing to me is a godsend. It's a work of art. I love using this thing.
So I'm thinking in a generation or two of going into Galaxy's trifold that came out.
They just canceled it.
No.
Yep, they just canceled it.
Version 1 looks so good because it had that white.
They sold out and they said we're not going to make them anymore. It just turned out they were just too expensive to make.
It makes sense. It makes sense.
But I wanted to get a trifold as well.
That's a bummer.
Way, there are some Chinese makers that still make trifolds.
Yeah, those are nice.
I think they will make a comeback here. I really want to try. But listen, I'll tell you guys, using this, I can actually get work done on this thing.
Yeah.
It's fab. The battery life has been great. I go through a full day. Right now, I go through a full day. And by the time I plug it into charge at the end of the day, it's still at 50%.
That's
actually
great.
Last night I plugged it in and it was at 67%.
Ah, so close.
Emailing looks great on this thing. Like I can have dual panels, like the list of emails with the open email on the side. My spreadsheets work fantastic on this. My investment accounts look great on here. Websites work way better on it. The problem is it is a pricey thing. Now, I got mine as a refurbished one on Amazon for, I think I got mine for $1,100 because I think brand new, they go for like $1,700, which, listen, it's not cheap, but I would highly, highly, highly recommend the Fold. I love it. I can't say enough good things about it. That's just me. Oh, and instead of having to put up with that piece of crap Siri, when I say, hey, Google, it automatically goes into Gemini. Like, you know what my life was, Jonathan? It was saying, hey, Siri, and asking it a question, and then waiting 5 seconds for it to inevitably answer, I don't know that, or I can't answer that, but I found a web page for you.
Nice.
Like, it's totally useless. This thing changed everything. I can ask this thing anything, and it can do it or give me the answer for it. It's fantastic. I just love it.
That you just reminded me of that scene in Project Hail Mary where he's trying to talk softly. I won't give anything away, but just he's trying to talk softly and not be heard. But
Yeah. Oh, I love it. Anyway, all right, what's
Josh
next?
says, so on top of Doomsday on the 18th, Christmas Day has the release of Jumanji 3. And Angry Birds 3 Werewolf is also slated that same day. Should it move its date or keep the hope it pulls a
Whoa,
sisters?
whoa! Werewolf
Yeah.
is scheduled for Christmas Day.
Yeah. I think it's much like the vampire one.
Oh, it'll move. Yeah, like honestly, yeah, I remember because Ann and I went to go see Nosferatu on Christmas Eve, and I'm one of the few people that didn't like Nosferatu.
I was a bit let down. I'm going to admit I was super excited for it.
Yeah, I mean, there's some things about it that were exceptionally done, and I'm a huge Robert Eggers fan. Like, I love Northman, but yeah, oh, they got to move, especially if Jumanji just moved on to it, because like you're already in the wake of Doomsday and Dune 3. And now Jumanji has just moved to that exact same day. Angry Birds is an afterthought. Nobody cares. But I think they'll move Werewolf. They got to move Werewolf. You can't leave it on that day. I understand it's counter programming, 100%, but you're in the second week of Doomsday and Dune, and you have Jumanji 3 opening on the same day. I think that's just too much to deal with.
You got to do two. You got to do Doomsday, and you got to do like where Manji, something like that.
Where Manji. All right, what's next?
Josh says, so on top of Doomsday. Oh no, sorry, just read that one. Let me scroll. We got Svein who says, have you seen the trailer for the Sheep Detectives? Randomly came across it today. It looks really fun. About a flock of sheep trying to solve the murder of their shepherd. Felt like a live action Shaun of the Sheep. I've seen that.
This is the Hugh Jackman one, right?
Yes.
Yeah. They showed us a big presentation and a trailer for it literally a year ago at CinemaCon. I love Hugh Jackman. I love Babe. But yeah, I don't know. I didn't find it remotely charming. I didn't, and it's kind of my sort of movie. I kind of like that sort of stuff, but it did not, and I love Hugh Jackman, but it did not click for me. Now that doesn't mean the movie won't be great and I won't love the movie, but I got to admit, I wasn't taken with the trailer.
Much like the trailer, it clicked with me at first and then it wore on me. And I feel like that's what's going to happen. I'm going to love the bit that I'm going to like it at the beginning and it's going to wear on me. You know, the bit will run old.
I don't know. Like, I hope the movie's great. I'm just saying the trailer itself didn't quite work for me. That's all. All right, what's next?
Draco says the Aragon TV show got Todd Harthan and Todd Helbing as showrunners.
Don't know either of them.
Yeah. Aragon. That's the
that's the books, the very popular book series that they tried to do a movie and it sucked. It was so bad, and then they kind of went away from it, and they're going to give it another shot. They're going to give me anything with dragons, I'll be happy.
We got Prady, who says, hi, John. Did you watch Project Hail Mary in IMAX every time? Is it an IMAX must experience? Because there's no IMAX near me. I need to make a very long drive.
I don't believe it's a must.
I saw it in IMAX for my last night for my second viewing. The first one was Dolby Cinema. I will say...
Was it a 70 millimeter IMAX or one of the normal IMAX?
I think it was a normal.
Right, okay.
I will say, though, there were certain scenes that were darker lit that in the Dolby Cinema, I saw more detail.
Well, that's Dolby, though, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's the dual laser system in the Dolby theater.
But, of course, on the big screen, which is so awe-inspiring.
Yeah.
So...
I would say I've seen it in my first viewing was on the 70 millimeter IMAX. My second viewing was in a regular IMAX. And then my third viewing was in a Dolby Prime theater. All of them were fabulous. All of them were fabulous presentations. My theater of choice tends to be, if I have a choice, to be the Dolby Prime. Because again, it's just that dual laser projection system is stunning. But IMAX is great. I would say this. I don't think an IMAX viewing of it is a must. I think you're okay to go see it in another. Like if you can go to a premium large format, a PLF theater, a premium, like whether it's AMC, XD, or whatever they call it in Regal. There's plenty of big formats now that are out there. See it in one of those if you can. But I don't think, and see it in IMAX if you can, but it's not a must to see it in IMAX.
If you can just get a large standard screen, just, Rich reviews with $20 super chat. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Rich.
Are you attending WrestleMania this year in Vegas? Also, which of the women matches are you excited for? Liv Morgan versus Stephanie Vakir, Jade Cargill versus Rhea Ripley, or AJ Lee versus Becky Lynch?
I don't really follow wrestling anymore. I mean, I used to follow it like a religion. These days, I watch 1 or 2 events a year, and we will probably be going to WrestleMania. We'll probably be going to WrestleMania. So I'll bring up the list again. The one thing on there is AJ Lee, who was one of my favorites back when I was still watching wrestling. And she's married to why am I freezing on the wrestler's name? I literally stopped for breakfast with them. Guys, he's married to AJ Lee. Why am I suddenly freezing on CM Punk?
Oh, yeah.
So she's married to CM Punk. But I got to tell you, the female wrestler today that I think honestly might be one of the greatest of all time is Rhea Ripley. A friend of mine, Nigel McGuinness, was doing the color commentary for NXT. And so we would watch NXT a bunch because Nigel is doing the color commentary on it, right? And that's where I first saw Rhea Ripley. And I'm like, this girl is one of the best I've ever seen. Like her presence, her physicality, her agility, her technical prowess, like she's got it all. And then she made the transition into the big league. She went from NXT up to WWE. And I've seen her a few times in WWE. And like, I think she's like, honestly, one of the greatest maybe the greatest female wrestler of all time. I mean, obviously you got to have that conversation also with Flair. You got to have her in the conversation as well. A couple of others too, but I honestly think she could be way, way up there. By the way, speaking of Nigel, I'm going over Nigel and our friend Kaori just had a baby.
Yeah, I saw that.
And so Ann and I have not met the baby yet, and they've been on our case. So when are you coming out here? So I think we are finally going over to meet Kaori and Nigel's baby tomorrow. I think we're going to drive into LA, go visit the baby, and then probably go see a movie at the AMC Burbank 16. But we're going to go visit the kid tomorrow.
Good. Johnny says, now that Star Fox is coming in the new Super Mario movie and Zelda next year, could Metroid potentially be coming next? Thank you for all you guys do. I don't think it has the brand recognition.
No, see that's the problem. Like I really don't care that Star Fox is nobody cares. And it's just going to be a cameo part in a Mario movie, right? Like you make a Star Fox movie, nobody's going to go see it.
I would like a Star Fox series. I wouldn't mind that.
That's what I said before. When Mario came out and it made like $1 billion, like everybody said, oh my God, now they're going to make everything in Nintendo movie. It's like, but the problem they have is they don't have another Mario Brothers. There is no other character that has like this fanatical top tier multi-generational appeal. I said the closest thing they have is Zelda. And sure enough, they're doing a Zelda movie. But I could see Metroid popping up in a Mario Brothers 3 as a character in somebody else's movie? Yes. Can I see them doing a Metroid movie? And I know people don't like it when I say this, but honestly, I don't. It doesn't mean it can't happen. But if you're asking me, my guess is that I don't think they do one of those. All right, what's next?
We got Chris who says Ides of March is an underrated Gosling performance.
It is. It's great. And I think that was the first, I think Ides of March was the first thing that I interviewed Ryan Gosling on. Him and the Clooney, George Clooney. It's a really good movie. It's a really good movie. It's not, you're right. It's not talked about enough. It's a really good film. All right, what's next?
We got Decake who says, what will be better, Zelda or Expedition 33?
As a movie?
I mean...
Well, I haven't had a chance to play Expedition. I bought it, but I haven't had a chance to play it yet, so I'm going to say Zelda.
Live-action adaptation of the film is coming, too, or the game, 33.
Yeah, I think Zelda will be better.
I'm more excited for Zelda, yeah.
But again, ask me again after I've actually played Expedition 33.
Sure. Edward says Meta and YouTube found guilty for social media as addiction. 6 million judgment, potential more lawsuits coming. How does YouTube continue?
Again, like we said in the segment, they're obviously YouTube is not going away. Facebook is not going away, but it's going to make them have some changes. What those changes are and how they adapt. By the way, it should be noted that Meta was found more liable, like 70% of it, than YouTube was, which was found liable for 30%. But they're going to have to make some changes because there are going to be thousands of more of these lawsuits coming. It's not an exaggeration, guys, to say these companies are going to be having to be cutting checks in the billions. This is a huge deal. This isn't some little footnote. Now, again, both of them are going to appeal this, but should they fail in their appeals, they're going to have to change. And how they change, what they have to do to come into compliance with whatever the new guidelines are going to be, I don't know, but the landscape's going to change. We're just going to have to wait to see how so. All right, what's next?
We got G Sweatin'. Has Ann made you listen to the new BTS album yet?
I don't even know if she's listened to the new BTS album yet. So thankfully, no. She's still listening a lot to the who just put out a new album that she's been obsessively listening to? I can't. Harry. She's been listening a lot to the new Harry Styles album.
So, okay. That karaoke scene, I mean, I was like, what song is that?
Oh, it's a Harry Styles song.
And I'm like, I like it. I hope it's not some like modern pop star. I want to know that this thing was like, because it has a feel like it was written in the 70s or something. And I looked it up. I'm like, God damn it. It's Harry Styles. I have to like a Harry Styles song now. And I like it.
I gotta tell you, it's not my favorite song, and it wasn't my favorite scene in the movie, but yeah, but he's got a new I gotta say this. I'm not a Harry Styles fan, but there is a song on his new album, and I'm trying to remember the name of it, but it just starts with this deep thumping bass. Boom, 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 right? And it's a banger.
Does it go shot, shot, shot,
no.
shot?
It did sound like that, didn't it? But it's a banger of a song. So I can give or take the rest of his album. By the way, he also did a pretty good job hosting Saturday Night Live the other night. But that one song. Oh, I think Dan the Fan, Aperture. I think that's the name
Aperture?
of it. Yeah.
Cool.
It's a thumping song. It's a really, really good song.
Check
And
it
I
out.
say this as somebody who's not traditionally a Harry Styles fan. Oh, he's got one other song I like. What was it called again? Watermelon Sugar. I'm a fan of that song.
I've heard of that. I haven't heard it, but I've heard of that.
Watermelon Sugar High. That's about all I know of it. But I like that song, and I like this new Aperture song.
We got Mr. I, who says, finally saw Project Hail Mary on Tuesday. Amaze, amaze, amaze. Then got home and watched Daredevil Born Again. It was a good day.
Daredevil Born Again's off to a good start, man. It's off to a good start. Now, the reviews have been like off the charts for it. That's good, but you got to see them now. I like I said on the show the other day, Disney Plus shows have no problem starting off well. It's what happens after that becomes a problem for them sometimes. So, but hey, you know what? Daredevil season 2 off to a really good start. I thought that first episode was fantastic. All right,
we
what's
got
next?
Will, who says, do you prefer Daniel Craig as Blanc or Bond?
Whoa.
I think he's more nuanced as Blanc, frankly.
Well, I'm going to go Bond simply because he is my all-time favorite Bond.
Interesting.
I think the reason he's my all-time favorite Bond is because, and I've said this many times, is that Bonds have always tended to follow one of two templates: the Roger Moore suaveness or the Sean Connery badassery. And with Casino Royale, we got Daniel Craig as a Bond who I thought was the perfect amalgamation of both styles. I thought he had a lot of Roger Moore and a lot of Sean Connery. And that's why, to me, he was that perfect balance. And he's my favorite. I'm not saying he's made my favorite Bond films, although he probably has made my favorite Bond films. But yeah, he's my favorite Bond. So I love him as Benoit Blanc, and I want to see more movies with him as Benoit Blanc. But I think I like him even more as Bond. All right, what's more?
Keaton says people are calling Colbert Lord of the Rings movie a mindless cash grab. Do they not understand? Well, they don't understand. They don't even know what they're talking about. Abdi and DeLuca all said the idea is great. Why can't we just be excited? It's also based off of pre-written, manuscripts.
Yeah, it's based on actually Tolkien writing. But look, there's two different things that make this ridiculous. Number one, you do realize that Colbert is not the only guy who wrote this. He took the idea to Peter Jackson, and Peter Jackson loved it so much, he got the writer of the original Lord of the Rings trilogy of movies, his writing partner, Philippa Boyens, got her, not Bloys, that's Casey Bloys, Boyens. He got Philippa to look at it, and she loved it so much, she wrote the script with Colbert. So it's not just Colbert. Like everybody keeps glossing over this. It's Colbert and one of the writers of the original trilogy of films.
Yeah, and it wasn't the studio saying, we want to make more money off of this. Who can we get? They went and spent 2 years developing this with no promises.
Then they pitched it pitched it again back to Peter Jackson first, who loved it. And then with Peter Jackson, took it to Warner Brothers, and DeLuca and Abdi, who've been doing nothing but cranking out hits, said, we love it. Now, does that guarantee it's going to be good? Of course not. But here's the second reason why it's ridiculous. Bring up the question again. I just want to read this.
Wrong button here.
Yeah. It's a mindless cash grab. This is the second part that makes this ridiculous. Every single movie that gets made is a cash grab.
Yeah. Some are cynical.
If you don't understand that, you're a child. Every single movie that gets greenlit and produced, studios do not put up 50, 100, 120, 150, $200 million because they want to do a nice community project. Movies get produced and greenlit based on whether or not the studio believes it has the chance to make money. Now, movies is that nexus point where art and business meet. And of course, there's all the artistic merits that you want to talk about too, but don't be naive. Artistic merits are absolutely vitally important. We're just talking about everything everywhere all at once. There's what makes movies great. But none of those movies come to the screen unless the artists can make a case to the studio that there is a path for this to make money and be profitable. And in that reality, kid, every movie's a cash grab. It just is. No movie gets made unless the studio or the producers believe there is a chance they can make profit. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't always work out. Sometimes they lose money, whatever. And absolutely, a lot of these movies are made with deep passion and conviction and artistic expression. Absolutely. But that does not negate the fact that they don't get greenlit unless a studio thinks they can make money.
Yeah.
So that's just the reality. So to me, it is one of the laziest things ever when I hear somebody say, that movie's a crash grab. I just want to pat them on the head and say, you're adorable.
Really?
But that's every movie.
Any quick jump to cynicism is the easy way out, and it's actually cowardly. Just be easily cynical, but like give no credence to the facts first.
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't mind being cynical, right? If
you have the facts and you make a decision.
But tell me why you're cynical.
That's it.
And that's the point I brought up like yesterday when we were talking about it. Okay, are you cynical because Peter Jackson thinks it's good? Are you cynical because Philippa Boyens thinks it's good?
Yeah.
Are you cynical because DeLuca and Abdi think it's good? Like, what's your touch point on this that is making you cynical? Listen, there are movie projects that come out that I feel cynical about, of course, but I'll tell you, it's not catching me because of this, and this. Yeah. Now, maybe it turns out to be great, and I hope that it does. And that's happened often, but, yeah, listen, I think everything checks out.
Yeah.
I think this has gone through a process, and I think it's cleared all the hurdles that this thing has a chance to be really good, and it could end up being a disaster. It could, But to call it a cash grab, to me, that just tells me you fundamentally don't understand what movies are and how the business works. Anyway. All right, what's
then
next?
we got Ron, who says $20 super chat.
Oh, thank you, Ron. Appreciate that, man.
I watched some videos about some Chinese digital studio companies. It is crazy the tech creators have to produce their films and shows. They can do things bigger, faster, and cheaper, but with much less people. Thoughts? Well,
I don't know how true that is. Like, I mean, it all depends on who made. I haven't seen what you've seen. I didn't watch what you watched, but it all depends on who produced it, from what perspective, all that kind of stuff.
What tech do they have that, that we don't have access to here?
Yeah. So. I'm not saying you're wrong by any stretch. I'm saying since I haven't seen it and I don't know who made it and I don't know who's saying that, I just don't know that's true. So I really can't give commentary on it if I haven't seen the exact same thing you're asking me to give commentary on.
Right.
That's the only problem.
Then we got what's next? Curtis, who says these are final three here. Curtis in the HP trailer, when Harry's aunt tells him he's not special, the character's background then involves her resentment and jealousy of Harry's mom, her sister, is shown through that actress' performance.
Well, and that is a great example of the opportunity, not that they'll necessarily execute on it well, but that the opportunity of doing this show presents them, that they can more fully explore themes and events that happen in the books that simply they never had time to even touch on in the movies, right? The fact that we're going to get 8 hours of the Philosopher's Stone as opposed to 2 hours of the Philosopher's Stone, it just by nature gives them the opportunity to explore far more. And whether they do it well or not well, we'll have to wait and see. But the trailer to me is exceedingly promising. I did not think before that there was a chance that this series could be even more engaging and entertaining than the movies. The trailer changed my mind. I think that chance does exist. Will it? I don't know. We'll have to wait to see, but I think the chance exists. All right, what's next?
We got Spicy Runs, who says Harry, Doomsday, and the Philosopher's Doom.
And the Philosopher's Doom.
Then we got our final one is from Josh. If Dune Part 3 gets nominated for Best Picture, I believe it will be the first trilogy to have all 3 films get a Best Picture nom.
You are wrong multiple times. There are 2 trilogies already that had all 3 films nominated for Best Picture. One of them is Lord of the Rings. All 3 got nominated for Best Picture.
I know 2 of them.
And then the other one is the Godfather trilogy. All 3 of those got nominated. So, yes, if Dune Part 3 gets nominated for Best Picture, it will be the 3rd trilogy to have all 3 films nominated for Best Picture.
One snuck through because I had to refresh.
Okay.
So Mattaween, only had a handful of movies in the last 20 years have left me so thoughtful while leaving the theater. Children of Men, good one, Ex Machina.
Yeah.
And Project Hail Mary, love the movie as much as the book.
Yeah, man. Children of Men. That's a movie I need to revisit. I revisited that one about 5 years ago. The reason I went back to watch it again, because a discussion came up about scenes with one continuous shot.
Oh, yeah.
And of course, Children of Men has that epic like action sequence.
Sure.
With
the
it,
car.
Right? Yeah, as he's going through and all. It's just it's an amazing thing. And the movie, Michael Caine is so good in it. And anyway, it is a brilliant, deep, thought-provoking movie. It's so good. I really do like Ex Machina. I'm not as big, like I don't put it on the same level as Children of Men though, as some people do. I'm a thumbs up for me. I really love the movie, but yeah, Children of Men's a good, but yeah, man, Project Hail Mary is, it's just a special film, dude. Such a special. If we can get to the end of the year and Project Hail Mary only ends up being my 3rd or 4th favorite film of the year, what a special year it's going to be. What a special year it's going to be.
Yeah. I left the theater last night and most of the people were coming out with positive feelings. And there was always that one guy in the group that was like, but I didn't hate the movie, but it just had like details that like da-da-da-da. And I'm like, I get what you're saying. You're valid. But this is a movie that needs to be felt and not so much thought.
Well, I mean, I think, I don't know. I think you can think your way through the movie too, but
it's not about analytical. It's about feeling. We're saving mankind. It's beautiful. It's giving yourself up for the greater good. Like you have to think about those things too.
But I mean, I think somebody can do that and still not like the movie. I mean, that's the art, right?
I don't feel like they were though.
Art hits us all in different ways.
I think they were lost in the details.
Well, maybe. But if that's how they experience something, then that's how they experience something. Like, as art, I've always said this: you can have 10 people standing around a piece of art, looking at the same piece of art, and see 10 different things. And so, you're not going to get everybody. Not everybody likes The Godfather. Not Peter Griffin, as a matter of fact, did not like The Godfather. It was pedantic. Not everybody likes The Godfather. Not everybody likes Star Wars. Not everybody. I mean, so I get it. There are going to be people that don't like Project Hail Mary. Then that's fine. It's just, it hits them in a way that it didn't hit me, thankfully. Anyway, guys, that'll do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show. Thank you so much for being here and making our little show a part of your day. We really appreciate that. A big special thank you, of course, to Robert Meyer Burnett, to Jonathan Voico.
See you guys later.
Special thank you to you guys for sending in all the questions, because you gave us great fun things to talk about and you supported our channel as you did it. And that'll do it for us for now, guys. Thanks a lot for being here. We'll talk to you tomorrow. And until next time, my friends, bye-bye.